I want to give you a number, and I want you to sit with it for a second. 92 and 5. That's Roger Federer's 2006 season. 92 wins, 5 losses, 12 titles. He entered 17 tournaments that year and reached the final of 16 of them. He played in all 4 Grand Slam finals and won 3. But here's the part I can't get past. Only 2 human beings on the planet beat him that entire year. One of them did it 4 times, and the other one did it exactly once in a warm-up event in Ohio, and then never got the chance again. Now, people do call this one of the greatest seasons in the history of the sport. Tennis writers have ranked it second only to Rod Laver's Grand Slam year in 1969. That's not a fringe opinion, it's the consensus. But listen to how people talk about it. Every single conversation about 2006 ends up in the same place. Not in Melbourne, where he cried holding the trophy, not at Wimbledon, where he handed the best clay courter alive a 6-love opening set. It ends on a clay court in Paris in June, with the one trophy he didn't get. So here's the question this whole video is built around. Why is the most complete season a tennis player has ever produced remembered, almost universally, for the thing that was missing from it? I want to be upfront. This isn't a video about whether Federer is the greatest of all time. That's a different argument, and one I'll happily make another day. This is about something I find much more interesting. What a season like this does to a sport, and what it reveals about the way we remember greatness. Because when you actually go back through it month by month, something clicks that the highlight reels never show you. To understand 2006, you have to understand the year that made it necessary. Because 2005 should have been perfect, and it wasn't quite. Federer went 81 and 4 that season. He won Wimbledon. He won the US Open. He was so far ahead of the field that the tour was starting to feel less like a competition and more like a scheduling formality. But 4 cracks appeared, and 2 of them left marks. The first was in Paris, the semi-final of the French Open. Rafael Nadal beat him on his 19th birthday and then went on to win the tournament. Not a 5-set war, Federer barely lost. Nadal just beat him. And the second came at the very end of the year. The season finale in Shanghai, Federer went 2 sets up on David Nalbandian in the final and lost in 5. 2 sets up, gone. He finished the year hurt, ankle-strapped, watching somebody else lift a trophy that was supposed to be his. So Federer arrived in 2006 in a position almost no dominant athlete ever finds himself in. He had almost everything. What he didn't have, another man was already holding. Melbourne is where the shape of the whole season announces itself. 4th round, Tommy Haas. Federer takes the first set 6-4, then he takes the second 6-love. It looks finished. It isn't. Haas takes the third. Haas takes the fourth. And suddenly, the world number 1 is in a 5th set, in the second week of a Grand Slam against a man he's supposed to be beating for exercise. Federer wins it 6-2, and there's the rule of the entire year right there in one match nobody talks about. You can crack him, you cannot break him. It happens again in the final. Marcos Baghdatis, unseeded, ranked 54th in the world, a man who'd already knocked out Roddick and Ljubicic and Nalbandian on his way there, takes the first set 7-5. For about 40 minutes, an entire stadium gets to imagine something. Then Federer takes the second. Then the third, 6-love. Then the fourth. Done. And what happens next is the part I keep coming back to. Rod Laver walks out to hand him the trophy, and Federer, standing in front of the only man who had ever done the thing he wanted most in the world, completely falls apart. He can't speak. He can barely stand. At the time, it read as joy. Watch it back now, knowing what's coming, and it reads like something else entirely. It looks like a man who has just understood exactly what he's chasing, and exactly what it's going to cost him. Here's what I think people fundamentally misunderstand about 2006. They think it was easy for him. It wasn't easy. It was decided point by point, in the tightest moments available, by him. Those are completely different things. Miami. The final against Ivan Lubicic goes 3 sets, and all 3 go to tiebreaks. 3 sets, 3 coin flips, and Federer wins all 3. Everybody remembers the impossible shots from that era. Almost nobody remembers that when a match got tight, when the margin collapsed to a single point, Federer simply became a different player from the man across the net. That's not talent, that's nerve. And it's exactly why the 5 losses hurt the way they did. Because one man on this earth had figured out how to take that nerve away from him. The first crack didn't even come on clay. Dubai, hard court, Federer's own surface. The one where he'd won 56 consecutive matches, an open-era record, and hadn't lost in over a year. 16 straight wins to open the season. And Nadal beat him, not on the dirt, on Federer's floor. And the message underneath that result was the thing that would define the next decade. There is now one person for whom your best is not automatically enough, which brings us to the clay, and to the 2 matches that turned a historic season into a haunted one. Monte Carlo, beaten in the final, same opponent, and then Rome. Rome is the match nobody talks about enough. 5 hours and 5 minutes. Federer takes the first set in a flawless tiebreak, loses the second, loses the third, then crushes the fourth 6-2, and goes up 4-1 in the fifth. And then at 5-6, Nadal double faults. The first double fault either man had hit in 5 hours, and suddenly Roger Federer has 2 match points on Nadal's serve to end the myth. He misses both, forehands, both long. So it goes to a tiebreak, and Federer leads that 5-3, 2 points from the title, and then makes 3 errors, loses 4 points in a row, and it's gone. He didn't just lose Rome. He learned something I don't think he ever fully unlearned, that he could play 5 hours of the best clay of his life, hold 2 match points, and still not be enough. 3 weeks later, the French Open final. Their first meeting in a Grand Slam final. Federer wins the first set 6-1, 6-1. For half an hour, the king of clay looks like a kid, and the entire history of the sport looks like it's about to get rewritten. Then Nadal takes the second set 6-1. Same scoreline, pointed the other way. He takes the third. He takes the fourth in a tiebreak. And that's the loss. That's the one that turned 92-5 into a tragedy. I want to step outside tennis for a second. Here's what I've come to believe. We don't actually remember dominance. We remember the thing that stopped it. Think about it. Nobody's favorite film is the one where the hero wins easily. Nobody rewatches the blowout. What we hold on to, what we argue about for 20 years, is the crack in the perfect thing. The moment the machine flinched. Federer gave the world the most complete season a tennis player has ever played, and the world filed it under, the year he lost to Nadal in Paris. And that isn't unfair. It isn't even wrong. It's just what human memory does with perfection. It goes looking for the seam. Which is why the rest of that season is so quietly devastating. 3 weeks after Paris, he plays Nadal again, on grass, at Wimbledon, and this time, the first set isn't 6-1. It's 6-love. He wins his 4th straight Wimbledon and closes the door. Then in August in Cincinnati in his opening match, he loses to a 19-year-old Scot called Andy Murray. It's the only match he loses in straight sets all year. The only tournament out of 17 where he doesn't reach the final. At the time, a footnote. Looking back, it's the sport quietly building its own antibodies. And then he simply stops losing. He wins the US Open, Tokyo, Madrid, Basel. He beats Nadal in the semifinal in Shanghai, hands James Blake a 6-love first set in the final, and closes the year on a 29-match winning streak, 92-5. And the world remembers the 5. So let's actually answer the question we started with. Was 2006 the greatest season ever played? By the numbers, it's in the conversation with anything anyone has ever done. 3 majors, 16 finals from 17 tournaments, 2 men beat him all year and only one of them more than once. And we still tell the story through the one that got away. And I've stopped thinking that's a mistake. Because Federer didn't break tennis by winning. Winning was never going to be enough. He broke it by being so complete, so total, so close to unanswerable, that the sport had to produce a specific human being with a specific game on a specific surface just to survive him. That's the real legacy of 2006. Not the 92, the 5. So here's the question I genuinely can't answer myself, and I want yours. Take Rafael Nadal out of the 2006 draw. Federer wins the calendar Grand Slam, the first since 1969. Is that the greatest season in the history of the sport? Or does removing the one man who could beat him remove the only thing that made it worth remembering? Drop it in the comments. Be honest. I have a feeling it's going to get interesting down there, and if you enjoyed this, a like genuinely helps the channel more than you'd think. Subscribe for more tennis deep dives like this one, and I'll see you in the next video.